Oh, it's music to my ears, Bill. Recording in progress. That means I'm in another webinar.
There you go.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you again.
You too. You too. I always enjoy our chats. I think I need to quit some applications because my computer.
If you're having some computer problems, if only we knew some people that were in the IT business, you know, it would help.
So, hey, we're going to talk about ConnectWise. We're going to talk about ConnectWise PSA and some of the problems that you may or may not be experiencing simply by using it. Bill, ConnectWise PSA is kind of a lot to set up.
It is. It
That's
is.
that's why guys like you exist.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. ConnectWise PSA is such a robust tool that fits any size company from a one person MSP up to whatever. The sky's the limit.
Mhm.
And it's all about setting it up and getting your systems in place. It's just like any other system. Once it's in place and operating, then it's just a matter of maintaining the system to make it match, how you do business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to just real quickly give you guys an idea of what's going to happen. We're going to talk about the problem you might be experiencing. We're going to give you some solutions. And then we're just going to talk about some cool stuff you can do with ConnectWise PSA. And then it wouldn't be a joint webinar if I didn't also share the awesome capabilities that alternative payments has with ConnectWise PSA. And we're gonna wrap all that up together and show you how all of these things are gonna give you a well-tuned, well-oiled, finely tuned ConnectWise PSA. So with that said, I'm going to put your screen slide deck up.
All
My
right.
my screen, your slide deck.
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, let's dive in, man.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me here today, Steve. As always, it's always great talking to you. We've done, webinars in the past and it's been fun. So, FocusPlanIT. So, a little bit about FocusPlanIT. My name is Bill Black and I started FocusPlanIT in 2013. As a matter of fact, I just got my Indiana State renewal notice because it's
Oh
time to
man.
renew my entity. But FocusPlanIT was created because I used to own an MSP and I had that MSP for 12 years-ish and I sold it. Now, one of the things that I really frustrated me when I had my MSP was that I could get a lot of people that could tell me everything I needed to do to get ConnectWise set up. However, I was busy running the business and I didn't have time to set it up.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that time to sit down and go through all the little details and all the minutiae that needed to be set up. And unfortunately, I couldn't really find anybody that would do that for me. So
Hmm.
when I started FocusPlanIT, I set out to be somebody that would just be a resource for MSPs to help with everything from sales to operations and service to finance, through and through as it relates to ConnectWise. So I started becoming the ConnectWise builder, mechanic, admin, however you want to look at it. So we do the work for you. So if you go to, let's say you go to an event, you go to IT Nation or a user group or whatever, and you learn about things that you want to set up in ConnectWise, but you don't have time to do it, then we come in and do that for you. So that's what FocusPlanIT is. And another thing that we do is what we call the ConnectWise Whiteboard Workshop, where we come to your office, we sit down with your team and go through how ConnectWise is designed on a whiteboard so that everybody knows exactly how the system is designed to work. And then everybody also knows what their roles and responsibilities are as things, transactions move through the system. And then also how what they do impacts other areas of your business. So that's the whiteboard workshop. And so, yeah, that's Bill Black and FocusPlanIT in that show.
That is so cool. And today we're going to talk about specifically quote to cash in ConnectWise PSA. In fact, I have a fun little poll. I like to make things interactive. If you've never been to one of my webinars, so I've got a fun little poll for you guys, and I'm just curious: are you using ConnectWise PSA? If not, it's okay. You're still welcome. These Bill, didn't you say these ideas, these processes still apply? It's probably
Right.
just different in Autotask and
Yeah,
Payroll
exactly.
and everything
And,
else.
yeah, the processes that we're going to talk about today, they apply to every single business. And so it doesn't matter which PSA you use, or if you use a series of notebooks and sticky notes, it doesn't matter. It's still going to
Mhm.
apply to you. So
Very cool. So we still have people submitting polls. So I'm going to just
good,
let that run for another moment while everyone does that.
great,
It's looking like so far everyone is a ConnectWise PSA user.
awesome.
Well, one person is not. That's okay.
It's all right.
And we actually have kind of everyone's all over the place when it comes to what's currently frustrating them. Everything from inconsistent workflows is number one,
Mhm,
unclear process ownership is number two,
mhm.
revenue slipping through process gaps is number three. Those are the top three things
Mhm.
that seem to be frustrating everybody. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna cover all of those, right?
I hope so. Yeah. Hopefully we cover everybody's questions. And obviously, after the webinar is over, if we haven't covered your questions, we'll have some contact info and all that good stuff. I'm easy to get a hold of. So
And apparently, I don't know how to read. It's inconsistent workflows, unclear process ownership, and disconnected workflow steps.
perfect.
Those are
Perfect.
the three.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Cool.
Workflows are fun.
Very cool. All right. On to the next slide. You ready?
Yeah. Let's do this.
All right, man. Let's jump in.
Quote to cash. So what we're going to do is, I'll talk a little bit about quote to cash, and we're going to do a live demonstration. So fingers crossed, it's a live demonstration. Hopefully nothing breaks. In our whiteboard workshops with your team, we have a workbook that comes along with it. And in this workbook, there are several diagrams and several conversations about the quote to cash process and, who's responsible for what. And we talk about the RACI model or the RACI model, however you want to say it. We talk about the accountability loop and how those are used in the process. But more importantly, there's just a little bit of a visualization, as you can see on this slide, how the process kind of works. So the idea being that everything starts with an opportunity. In ConnectWise, everything starts with the opportunity. On that opportunity, there are activities, and the activities are how your salespeople use different different events or different activities, tasks to move that sale forward. So, for example, every sale starts with an intro of some sort, right? So you have an intro call, an intro meeting, whatever. So that might be activity number one. Activity number two might be a discovery. So you send somebody in to do a network discovery. Activity three might be sales engineering. Activity four might be build quote, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the point to where that last sales activity is probably present quote or maybe follow up on the presentation. So those activities can be automatically built in ConnectWise once you have your sales process developed. So if you develop your sales process, we can trigger it so those activities are automatically added to the opportunity. Now, if you're familiar with ConnectWise, you know that there's different opportunity statuses and different opportunity types. So you can trigger different activities for different types of opportunities. So keep that in mind as well. Once the opportunity is created, and we go to the quote, right? And whether you're using QuoteWorks or CPQ, whatever your quoting tool is, it should integrate with ConnectWise. And in the purposes of our conversation today, we're going to talk about CPQ, obviously. So if you're using CPQ, then you would go to the quotes, and inside the quotes, you would build out all of the product, and you would build out the statement of work. Inside this quote, you could also have any kind of legal document, legal verbiage, or any of that stuff can be in the quote. So that quote is a comprehensive document that is the first thing that the prospect is going to see that represents, again, comprehensively everything you're going to provide to that client. The idea is to have it all in one spot so that it's easy for the client to read it, to see everything, and to sign off. Now, I know a lot of MSPs are using a variety of different ways to handle the legal part of things, like the T's and C's, terms and conditions, the master service agreement, things like that. What we do here at FocusPlanIT is we have our master service agreement on our website, and the master service agreement says, it's your constitution. It never changes. However, the T's and C's, terms and conditions on the quote and inside the statement of work, that could change based on who you're quoting and what you're quoting. So all of that's in CPQ, and then it references the master service agreement. Then you also have your products, the things that you're going to sell, their labor, the recurring services like the managed services, any kind of hardware as a service or any of that stuff. It's all going to be in that quote. Now, back to the opportunity. When that opportunity is created inside the opportunity, again, we have all these activities and we have all the notes. You put notes on the opportunity so that, as you hand off to the next step, then all those notes come with you, right? Come with the opportunity. Once the customer signs off, interchangeable terms here, customer, prospect, client. I don't know how you call yours, but, it just depends. But once that customer signs off on the quote, all of that information is now moved over to the opportunity, copied over to the opportunity. And keep in mind in ConnectWise, in any system, we're kind of thinking about things from a left to right perspective. So on the left-hand side, we've got a quote with all the details. And then the next step over is the opportunity. Once the quote is signed, all the details go into that opportunity. And now the opportunity has all this information. It's just full of good information based on the products, the statement of work, the notes that have been added. It's got a copy of the signed quote attached to it because we signed off in CPQ. So it's all copied up there to the opportunity. Again, left or right. The next step for that opportunity is to cross an imaginary line, right? So we're going to cross an imaginary line from sales to the rest of the company. And as everybody knows, sales is a little bit of a different area because they're out there hunting, they're out there gathering information, they're out there trying to find new business all the time. The idea here is that once that opportunity has been updated and won, then it crosses that imaginary line to the rest of the company. Sales can go back out and sell more stuff, right? So that imaginary line moves it over into the service delivery and finance part of the company. The very next step for an opportunity is to convert it to a sales order.
Mm-hmm.
What we always suggest is that when you convert it to a sales order, because you don't want to go back left if you don't have to, again, left or right.
Mm-hmm.
When we convert that to a sales order, we're bringing every single thing with it. We're bringing all the products, we're bringing all the statement of work stuff, we're bringing the attachments, we're bringing the notes. Everything comes over to the sales order, crossing that imaginary line between sales and the rest of the company. Now that we have a sales order, the sales order is a key component of ConnectWise that's often overlooked. What the sales order does is this is the first area where ConnectWise sees a demand for something to be purchased. So if you think about the products that came over, you have to buy those products. So there's a purchasing, if you're using purchasing in ConnectWise, you're either going to use purchasing approvals or direct to purchasing. And then that process would create the demand for purchasing. So that sales order creation creates demand for purchasing. And so your purchasing person now sees in their screen, whether it's approvals or purchasing itself. Now they see that these products need to be purchased. Do I need to stop for a minute, or are we good? Still going?
I think we're good. If anyone has questions, chat's open, Q&A's open. Whatever's easiest for you guys. Don't be shy. But I feel like this is good. Like it almost seems like duh. Of course, this is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good reminder for us to see. Here's how it's supposed to flow. You're supposed to create all of these little things, and I bet you're going to tell us why all of these little things have to be created too.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I know I was really bad at I would turn an opportunity. I don't know if I turned it into a sales order, but I used so many different PSAs that it all gets jumbled, you know? But I do know that I would struggle with trying to turn it into a contract or trying to figure out how do I turn it into a project. So no, this is good. This is good.
So the way I always consider, I've had a lot of fireside chats with bourbon and cigars talking about sales orders, because a lot of people are like, I don't need a. But here's the thing about sales orders: if you think about it in this perspective, if you're a smaller MSP, you probably get by without using sales orders. If you, as you grow though, and as you scale, that sales order becomes more and more important, because not only is it generating that demand for purchasing, but it's also becoming a centralized place that you can control who has access to, that contains all the information about the sale, right? Or about the project that you're about to embark on. If you think about it, I don't know if how many people are going to be able to associate with this, but back in the good old days, right? Here I am, Mr. Boomer, talking about the good old days. I get it. Back in the good old days, when the people that walked around and sold vacuum cleaners door to door.
Oh man,
right? You know where I'm going with this? They sold vacuum cleaners door to door. And what would happen? Nothing sucks like Electrolux, right? So they go door to door, and they would have this big sale of a vacuum cleaner, and they have their little sales pad. They come to here and they write down everything that was sold, and they collect a check in the house. And then they're like, okay, we'll get your vacuum cleaner to you in 2 weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they leave, they go run back in the office, and they're like, I sold one. And they take this pack of carbon paper. There'd be 4 or 5 different pieces of paper that carbon together, right? And so they take this pack and throw it in the door and say, I sold that. And then they go running back out to somebody else's house, try to sell them. Well, on that form was their copy of the sale or that sale. There was a copy of the sale for the people that are going to buy the new vacuum to have it delivered to the customer. There's a copy of the sale that goes to finance along with the check. There's a copy of the sale that's going to have the person pack up the new vacuum and ship it. So that's kind of the process there. That's kind of the idea behind, the sales order conversion. So those were the goal bennies. They used to come in and say, "Hey, did you check this out? This vacuum cleaner can pick up a bowling ball." And it could,
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about those commercials and stuff. I
basic
remember there were
physics.
commercials, because the vacuum existed and then TV existed. It was crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. So physics. All right. So we got the sales order now. And what we normally do is we say, okay, there has to be a handoff to finance because we have an agreement going on. We have made some invoices, for whatever project onboarding or, they're prepaying hardware or whatever. And we won't have time to get into those kinds of details today, but we can obviously cover all that if you want to do a whiteboard workshop with me.
Sure.
But anyhow, the first step that I normally suggest is that finance gets involved. Usually if it's a big enough order or a big enough client that's coming on board, usually there's a meeting. There's some like a quick meeting in the small conference room, right? The quick meeting is a handoff and sales is there, finance is there, and the purchasing person is there, and the project or service delivery service manager is there. And all these people are like, okay, we're all excited. You have a new client. What'd you do? And the sales hands that off. And during that handoff meeting, the accounting department would get all of their questions answered as it relates to this new project that was sold. And then they would reach into that sales order and hit the convert button and convert it to an agreement or, into their, basically left to right again, into their department so that they can create the invoice or create the agreement and so forth. When they convert that, all of the agreement class products are coming over, and then that leaves the other products to be built. Now, in the same manner, the service delivery / project manager, whoever's going to perform the technical work that needs to bring on this new client, the onboarding manager or whatever, they're going to be at this meeting also. And they're going to have a list of questions. And once they get their questions answered, they're going to hit that same convert button and they'll convert that to a project or to a ticket or a series of tickets, whatever your process is for delivery on what was sold. So they convert that into their project. And again, it's more of a, they reach in and hit that button to pull their information out. And then the purchasing person is there to say, okay, I need to buy this stuff. Let's verify that this stuff is, going to be available. Let's verify when I'm supposed to buy it, so on and so forth. They're in the room. As this sales order or as this transaction moves from left to right, the farther to the right it goes, the deeper into the company that it goes, the more challenging it's going to become to undo anything in it. So as we're moving from left to right, we want to make sure that everything is correct, right? It's everybody's responsibility when they look at a record, and this goes for anything in ConnectWise or any kind of PSA, anything. It's your responsibility as you look at any kind of record to kind of give it a sanity check to make sure things are spelled right, to make sure that an email is correct. If you're in charge of purchasing, you got to make sure that the drop shipped address is correct. If you're in charge of finance, you have to make sure the billing contact and email address and all that is correct. So as it moves left to right, everybody's got to be responsible to make sure it's correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like we all now have the same fundamental knowledge about how everything goes from opportunity to sales order to service, tickets, projects, and even a little bit into agreements and invoices.
Mhm.
So now what? Now we just know everything and
Now we
we're
know
good,
our,
right?
we schedule it and we make it happen. The whole point about, I just did a webinar earlier this morning about onboarding. We had a panel of people talking about onboarding. Um, and the whole point of onboarding is to make sure that um, when the salesperson makes that first impression and when the salesperson talks about what they're going to deliver, that is a consistent process as those services are being delivered
Mm-hmm.
and as it relates to billing, and everything is consistent across the board. And so that's the goal.
Yeah.
It's always the goal.
Well, I'd say that's a solid goal to have. So cool. So how do you guys feel? Did I'm just curious. Toss it in the chat. Did you already know all of this? Is any of this like a good refresher? Were you like, oh, that's how it works? Let us know. And I promise we won't pick on you if you're like, oh, that's how it works. Cause I'm in that category. Okay. So we're good. All right, good. So Randy says, I'm relieved to know we're following the process so far. That's great.
Okay. That's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And chances are, I mean, I feel like while there's a lot of little things you can configure in ConnectWise, I feel like they've at least done an okay job um, at like making it obvious which of the 74 buttons you should click to kind of almost like move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Debbie, something new to us to have a handoff meeting. I didn't think about having an actual handoff meeting. It would have been weird for me to hand it off to myself, so maybe that's why. But when you're an MSP that's got a few different employees and or you've got a few different departments, yeah, it absolutely makes sense to just sit down and talk about this stuff, because the last thing you want is to just like pass off this opportunity to somebody or a sales order to somebody and just expect them to know what to do, because there
Right.
might be information in your head that for some reason isn't in ConnectWise. And it might not actually be about the opportunity or the sales order. Maybe it's just, some like inside information that you have about the person, like, hey, this guy is a little skittish. He's a little nervous about this. So let's do some extra hand holding during the service portion. So that way we can just give him that warm and fuzzy, that kind of stuff. So that makes absolute sense to have like a handoff meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trisha
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Trisha missed the beginning. What is the best practice? Create the quote in CPQ, then create or convert the opportunity basics first, then
Right.
create quote from there.
That's a good question, Trisha. We always say create the opportunity in PSA first, and then hit the quote button to go to the quote. Because with that, here's why. Because with the opportunity, once you create the opportunity, that opportunity is going to have activities associated with it. And I don't know if Trisha, if you saw this part, but when we create an opportunity in ConnectWise, the opportunity can have a type and a status. And with that type and status, we can automatically create activities. So if we have an opportunity type of, MSP, for example, and the status is new, then we can have it create a series of, 5, 10, 15, 20 activities that need to be done in order to sell a full MSP deal.
Mm-hmm.
Part of those activities are going to include an intro call where you're going to, basically say, yeah, they're probably not a good candidate for us. Let's close this down. Yeah, if that's the case, you would not want a quote, right? So you don't start with quote, you start with opportunity.
Mhm.
Also with opportunity, you can have that intro call and get an idea what they're doing. And then there's an activity in there that's usually build quote, where you would build out, start building out the quote draft.
Mhm.
And then once sales or once engineering is done designing the plan, then you can, finish up that quote, polish it up. And all of that would be the opportunity. For those of you that like to track the cost of sales and like to track time, the salesperson can keep track of their time in that opportunity, in the activities. If you have your cost, your member cost set up in PSA, then
Mhm.
you can see how much each sale is costing you based on time. So the time that it takes, you can keep track of their time, you can keep track of their expenses, whatever, right? All that's going to go in there and you can see the true cost of sales.
Mhm.
So if you're selling a computer to somebody and you end up going to their office a couple of times, taking them to lunch, playing golf, you can see quickly that, and you're tracking that time and expense, you can see quickly that you can pretty much lose a lot of money on a single computer. But that's just one quick example of why we always do the opportunity first.
Great. All right. So I asked if the recording will be available. Absolutely, yes. We will email out a recording. It should be tomorrow. It may be Friday. But yeah, well, we want to edit the recording first and remove all the juicy bits. No, I'm kidding. We no,
And
we can.
I'm hoping, Steve, that it's okay if I make this recording available on the Focus Planet YouTube channel as well for
Yeah,
future.
we'll figure all that out,
Figure
and
that out.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, we'll
Uh,
get all that squared away. So is now a good time for us to dive into demo?
that's a good time. Yeah, now's a good time.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do this. This will be
You're
fun.
live.
So, all right, this is a live demo. So you got to promise not to laugh when and if things go bad on my demo. This is a training database that we have.
Mhm.
And, everybody on my team uses this database. And so what I set up 2 or 3 days ago may have changed. But so if I need to make some adjustments on the fly, let me know, or I'll just do it and show you. So again, we're in a training database for PSA. This is this is the, this is going to be called PSA Classic, by the way, when
Mhm.
AZO starts coming out full blast. This one is one version ahead of most people. We're at 2025.11. And I think most people are at 10 or maybe going to 11 quickly. So in this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into companies. And this company, I've created an opportunity for an MSP deal. Now, in this opportunity, again, we have activities where we can track things like the intro meeting, network discovery, so on and so forth. As we enter time and expenses on these activities, we'll be able to see those updated in here on the finance tab of the opportunity. As you can see, I don't have any time or expenses on this, but just keep in mind that this is a good way to see the cost of sales as you're going through here. Now, a little bit of information about ConnectWise. That cost of sales is not readily easily reported. You kind of have to look at each sale and see where it is.
Mhm.
So yeah. So I've got this opportunity, and typically what I would have done would be I would have an opportunity with nothing in it. And then I would do my activities to start creating things. And then I would hit the quote button. And on that quote button, cross your fingers, that CPQ opens. The last time I tried this, it didn't open. And here we go. Looks promising. Nope, it won't open. So it won't open. But anyhow, fortunately, I'm here to talk about PSA and not CPQ. But anyhow, you would have
Oh boy.
your quote going on in here, and as you build the quote, and update that quote in CPQ, it's going to add these products. So typically I would not put any kind of products directly on the opportunity. I would add them by using the quote and let CPQ update everything. The only time that's different is if you have a quote and you just want to add estimates for forecasting purposes, where you don't have actual products in there yet. You just want to add an estimate, and then you can do that easily enough just by clicking add estimate here.
Okay.
So I got a quote. I got the products from the quote. I've gone in and I've made a comment here. It's a note. And these notes can be any type of note that you want. It comes out with just 4 of them. You can always add more note types in your setup tables, or we can add them for you if you're one of our clients. But we put these notes in here to let people down the road know that there's information they need to know about this company. All right. So again, we've started with our opportunity. We've done some activities, and now we are going to basically win this. Typically, it would be won inside of CPQ once they sign off on the quote form itself, right? So inside of CPQ, you would have your order porter, and in your order porter, it would be signed off by the client. And I've got an example of this one right here. This is their order portal. This is what order porter. This is what it would look like, based on how you have your templates built out. And so what they would do, the client would be, I'm going to accept these. They're going to put in their initials and an email address. I don't know if that's a real domain, but I use it all the time.
I hope it is.
Then they sign it, and then they accept the order. And once they accept the order, the next step is they pay. And this is what we've done with alternative payments. We use alternative payments in-house, obviously. Who wouldn't? And this is what we do with alternative payments is we've created this click to pay button. And on this click to pay button, it will come in, alternative payments will come in and calculate on the quote and calculate the amount due today based on what that quote was. And then they hit sign in and pay. And once they sign in and pay, that's going to create a payment in alternative payments that can then be matched up to the invoice as we move it through in ConnectWise. So a little bit of accounting happening here. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but that's what's happening, right? So again, we sign the client signs the quote. The client clicks the pay button. The payment gets entered at alternative payments, and then we go from there. Now that this quote's been won, I'm just going to hit the win here and manually win this. And then I'll hit it. I think we have a question here.
Yeah, Randy wants to know how we get the pay button on the one opportunity. And it looks like Trisha wants to know that as well. So all will be revealed soon.
All will be revealed.
No, we'll show you in a minute.
Good stuff. So I'm going to manually win this, and I'm going to hit win and convert. And here we go. Here we go. Come on, don't let me down. It is letting me down for sure. So,
and to clarify, this is a staging environment of ConnectWise, guys. So please don't beat up on Bill because things aren't working.
Absolutely staging. Yeah. So for whatever reason, it is not converting. It would have been done by now. So let me go to a different company here and show you one that I did, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I did this one. Here was an opportunity. When I hit convert and it goes to a sales order, everything on this opportunity gets grayed out. Again, left to right. If there's anything on this that needs to be changed, we always recommend doing a change order quote, a change order opportunity. And then you could convert that same, or convert that change order to the same sales order, right? So that sales order is huge in respects of how it operates within the system. So what I've done here is I've converted this to a sales order. And in this case, sales order 34. When I converted this, when it brought all the product, on this example, it did not bring that note over. I didn't have any notes, but it would have brought the note over in here as well. You would see this note down here. Now that the sales order has been converted, you're able to use this sales order now. You can use different statuses. In my environment, there's only 2. But I've seen other companies that have 7, 8, 10, whatever statuses for sales orders. And these statuses would help you use workflows to do notifications or to kick off other things, right? Like a track or whatever. So, and then sales orders. Now, on this particular sales order, I went ahead and I converted this one also. So the first thing I converted this sales order to was that agreement. When I converted the agreement, everything came over left to right. The additions came over that were only agreement class additions. So when you convert to an agreement, you're not going to see products show up that are like inventory or non-inventory products. You'll just see agreement class products. So now I have this agreement, and on this agreement, I've already created an invoice. And this invoice is what you would match up to that payment that we just made with alternative payments. So you would match those up from an accounting perspective. You would match those up, and then they would be the also this sales order I converted to a product or a project. And with a project, normally what I do, it's a little bit like detailed, but this is my detailed brain trying to work. So normally what I do is when I convert to a project, I like to keep my hardware items on a different ticket than just dropping it openly into the project, because I may want to do infrastructure configuration in one phase. I may want to do workstation configuration in another phase. I may want to do Wi-Fi in a separate phase or whatever. So when I convert a sales order, first I'll do a single individual ticket for network products. And then I'll do a ticket for the server installation and bring over the products that are specific to that ticket. And then from a project management perspective, once I have those in there, I can then move this ticket. I've created it. The products are attached. It's all inside that ticket. And now I can go ahead and move this to the project. That way, this ticket is not sitting here affecting my SLAs for service delivery. So happy to go through that again. It can get a little bit confusing, but always happy to talk about how we do this with individual product tickets. Mm-hmm. The other thing that the sales order does not reference what's happening with the purchasing, but what it does do is it brings over that quote attachment. So when I win the quote, it brings over the attachment, and you can see that. So anybody that needs to go back to the left-hand side of the screen to see any information about the sale, they can see it right here in sales order. We talked briefly about change orders. So if there happens to be a change order, Um, then it's just a matter of creating a change order and going through the process again. So you create the change order, you add the change order product or service, and then when you're done with that change order, or you create the quote. Then when you're done with that change order, you hit convert. You convert it to a sales order, and instead of a new sales order, you can choose to create this change order on that existing sales order. Again, consolidating everything. If it's related to your project, it can be converted in here. You don't see the purchasing on a sales order. However, what you do see with purchasing is that now that we know we need to buy these things, you can, if you're using purchasing approvals, you would see the things that need to be bought for the purchasing approvals. If you're just using straight out purchasing, then your charge to is going to show the sales order. I think the sales order was 34. Yeah, 34. So these are the things that would need to be charged to order number 34.
Okay. So there's a lot more intricacy with ConnectWise PSA than I realize. Are all of you guys using all of these features and functionality today? Like, are you guys doing change orders and all this stuff today when somebody wants to change something on their ConnectWise? Well, let me know in the chat. What I'd like to do, Bill, real quick. I think I want to dive in. I want to answer those questions about the Pay Now button.
Okay.
So if it's all right, I think I'm going to pivot real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll pivot right back into more content from Bill. All right, guys? So for those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Steve. I'm the lead content manager for alternative payments. I've been an IT professional since 2002. I've ran an MSP for over a decade. I've done over, 500 of these webinars, lots and lots of webinars. And yeah, that's me. If anyone has questions, feel free to email me. I can put this slide back up later. If anyone needs to jot that down, I can even put it in the chat. Alternative payments is the button that you guys were seeing earlier with that Pay Now button. And what alternative payments does is we give MSPs the ability to fully automate the accounts receivable process, and it works really well. It's really reliable, and it actually automates the stuff. So what does that mean when I say automates your accounts receivable? So Bill earlier, he showed that you can have that Pay Now button on the quote, and we can actually do that with just about any quoting platform. We have a guide here with how to set that up right on CPQ. But more importantly, what we do is when you create your invoice in ConnectWise, it would then sync over to alternative payments, and then alternative payments can send that invoice to the customer, like via email, and then it can even send out reminders if it's late or all that stuff, right? We'll also help the customer with a beautiful customer payment portal that they actually want to use because it's not clunky, and again, it's reliable. So they can log in and see all their invoices, current and past. They can change their payment data that they've got stored on file. They can set up auto pay. They can pay any invoices they want. Once that invoice gets paid, whether manually or automatic, we will then go through the motions of marking it paid in the PSA and in accounting. We will then deposit those funds into your bank. We'll create the deposit in QuickBooks or whatever your accounting platform is. and we link everything together. So if you absorbed credit card fees, we will associate those. I always forget if it gets associated to the payment or the deposit, but regardless, it gets associated correctly and accounted for in your accounting solution. So that way, all of your expenses and costs of doing business and all that stuff, it's all just taken care of. We'll create the deposit in QuickBooks, so that way, literally, all you have to do is reconcile. Um, it all just matches up with the downloaded bank. Bill, I'm sure, can attest to that.
Very
Uh,
nice.
yeah, it is very nice. There is one more thing that we recently added, and what I'd like to do is, I'm just genuinely curious if any of you guys are interested in learning more about alternative payments. There's no obligation, uh, but look, we'd love to have a conversation with you. So we're going to pop a poll up, and I'd love if you guys could just take a moment to answer that. But this is alternative payments, and there's a new thing that we added. There's a new button that some people have access to. This button is right here. It says Sync Invoices. And what this does is we will sync your invoices from ConnectWise PSA into QuickBooks Online. So we've been doing all of the payment portal stuff, payment processing, and accounts receivable automation. Now we are going to start doing invoice sync. And what this is going to let you do is, you might be using another platform for the invoice sync, that may be ConnectWise included in a bundle, and maybe you have trouble with that. Well, again, our platform is really reliable, and I'll show you. All we got to do is we can select these invoices. I can hit sync, and it's going to give me an error because I too am in a staging environment. But we also have, and I've also synced those in the past over and over, and now it's getting mad at me. But what it'll do is it'll show you here previous syncs. So you've got your status here of all your syncs. Here's all of the syncs that I've run, and you'll see here's all 22 invoices that I just did a sync on yesterday, August 5th. And I'm pretty sure one or two of those invoices that were in the first list are in here, and that's why it didn't work. So yeah, that's sync invoices. And you'll even see here, it was able to sync one of the invoices that I had in my list, just not the other two because I broke something. Sorry. And then, like I said, we've got CPQ integration setup guide. And on the sync invoices here, I just want to show you one other thing. We've got it so you can automatically sync them every hour. So you can just set it and forget it. Or you can just do manual sync. And even if you've got automatic set, I mean, you saw I had all those invoices in there and I was able to just click sync invoices. So whether it's set to do it automatically or not, you can always do a manual sync. Now, I've got a bunch of people who have tossed stuff in the chat. So let me go back to just me and you, Bill. All right, so I'm going to end this poll. I'm going to start one more poll. If any of you are interested in learning more about the ConnectWise PSA to QuickBooks Online Sync, that's what this poll is. We would love to show it to you. We'd love to demo it. Whatever you need to understand it better. We're here for you. So let me address some of these chat comments, and then we'll dive right back into what Bill is going over. So not too many change orders. We use Quoter. We do quote and change order quotes. Okay. Is that how you would do it with Quoter, Bill?
Yeah, Quoter is a great tool as well. I don't have a lot of experience with Quoter other than seeing it in action with some of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Does fantastic job. So with Quoter, quote those change orders. With Quoter and Quote works. I think the best practice is to do it a little backwards, right, from what I normally do, which is create the quote first.
Mhm.
and then that creates the opportunity. But it's the same concept as it relates to the opportunity itself. You want to qualify the lead, have the intro call, do the discovery and all that good stuff. So, um, yeah. Incidentally,
Great.
Steve, I did when I set up my sync tool, I set it up to automatically sync and forgot that I did. And I did a quote for somebody the other day, and they approved the quote, and accounting processed it through into an agreement. And I'm literally within, it seems like a few minutes, I received a payment for that because the sync, the sync tool picking up out of ConnectWise synced it to QuickBooks. Alternative payments showed it on the portal, ready for the person to pay. They did, and it just seemed like lightning fast. So very impressive. It was very easy to set up. Like there's no
Okay.
setup at all to the sync tool. It's
I,
just there.
I love hearing that, man. That's our goal is, lightning fast, easy to set up. You'll notice that there's not a whole lot of like settings and stuff to set up because we've worked with hundreds, like literally over 700 MSPs or some ridiculous number. It's up there, right? We've worked with so many MSPs that we know what the most common processes are. We know where the pain points are, and we know like here are all the things that need to be done in QuickBooks Online, regardless of what your MSP is doing. And that's what we've figured out how to automate.
Can
So
I, can I, uh, can I address a couple of questions that are in the chat there, Steve?
absolutely. And then
So,
we've got a bunch of questions here in the chat.
yeah. So, Sandy, trying to set up the payment part. So, and we can get into a longer conversation afterwards if you like, maybe later this week or whatever. But a way to require upfront payment for those products that's a little bit of system setup and a little bit of business process or business policy, right? So with this one, and having that payment button really helps for that. And again, happy to have a longer conversation later in the week if you want. And then Jeremy, having the payment sync to from ConnectWise. So if you set up payments with alternative payments, those payment syncs are automatically going to happen because it's working with live data, right? So it's not like a sync is occurring. It's more like, hey, this is a live invoice. It's live in alternative payments. The client made a payment on it, and so it's going to update live in QuickBooks and ConnectWise. See what I'm saying? So it's more of a consistent process. If you're not using alternative payments, first sign up for alternative payments, and then secondly, if you're doing it with QuickBooks and it's not syncing back, go into your accounting interface setup and make sure that payment sync is turned on in ConnectWise. Right. And again, if you want to chat with me later, we'll do it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to drop, if it's okay with you, Steve, can I drop a link in the chat?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is how to get a hold of me. I just put it in the chat there. Thinking procurement and expense items, Ashlyn, that is a great question. And I'm sure Steve can answer that at some point. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I actually can answer. I see a few questions in here. Need to have payment sync to ConnectWise. Payments received on QuickBooks, so not currently synced to ConnectWise.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with Jeremy. It's just if you're using alternative payments, that can be set up so that it's automated. If you're not using alternative payments, step one, sign up for alternative payments. Step two, look at that accounting setup.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
accounting interface to sync those payments because they should.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna answer the easy questions first, and then I'm gonna go to Ashlyn. So Lori has two questions. One is it's actually like several questions bundled in one. So I guess I'm going to just address the elephant in the room. Will alternative payments allow us to eliminate Connect Booster? We are an alternative to Connect Booster or an alternative to Wise Pay and Wise Sync. So you could eliminate those platforms and use ours. Now, somebody else asked about procurement and expense items. We do not currently synchronize those. I don't know. I don't know if they will ever be on the roadmap. I'm not going to say never. I just know that as of right now, we don't do procurement and expenses. So in our eyes, it didn't make sense for us to start getting our fingers into those features, if you will. And most MSPs that we've spoken to are only syncing invoices anyway. So that's why we started with invoice sync, since invoices are accounts receivable, and that's our bread and butter, right? With that said, never say never. I'm not going to say we'll never sync procurement, we'll never sync expense items, because we may. I just don't have a date, and I don't want to falsely promise anything to you, okay? Now, ACH transactions over 25K with Connect Booster and carry a percentage fee. I'm not familiar with any fees for ACH. As far as I'm aware, 0%, $0 for ACH. Credit cards are, instead of Interchange Plus, where you're guessing what each credit card's going to cost, we just do the flat fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents for Visa, MasterCard, Discover, 3.5% plus 30 cents for American Express. We make that very easy. We also make it so you can pass those fees on to the customer if you wish. You can also granularly change which customers you're passing those fees on to. So you can say, oh, I promised this customer we wouldn't charge them fees in order to get them to sign a contract. Well, that's easy. You just click a box and it's done. You want to absorb the fees. You want to pay them yourself. If somebody does it with auto pay, that's easy. You check a box and it's done. Now you mentioned that there's $100,000 cap. We're conservatively doing $150,000 a month. I don't know our pricing. I'm so sorry, but what I'll do, Lori, is I'd love to just pass your information over to one of our account executives. I promise all they'll do is give you pricing, maybe a demo, and ask you any other questions to make sure you've got all the information you need. We don't hound people if they're not interested. So just let us know and we'll leave you be. Do we need to have our customers whitelist the payment code for the new processor again? We recommend doing that. And we have an article about that as well. And our customer success team has a fantastic onboarding experience where they'll walk you through all of this. And we'll even reach out to migrate your customer's payment data from the incumbent. So I'm like 98% certain we'll migrate from Connect Booster with no problem. So all those ACH and credit cards and everything will just come over, and it's all PCI compliant. Like, I don't have access to that data. It's all tokenized between the backend processors. So I hope that answers all the questions. What I'll do is, again, I'm going to have one of our AEs reach out to you, because obviously you've got a lot of questions, and I want to make sure Bill has enough time for stuff too. Unlimited ACH, our plans are just, it's usage based, right? So your monthly fees is based on your average of what you're billing and charging every month. So I hope all that helps. So with that said, I see quite a few more comments. I see you gave people the GlassHive ConnectWise consult page. That's great, but that didn't work for me. Sent an invalid response.
Nice. Well, it's a technical thing. Well, let me see if I can find one really fast.
And then one more thing, just because I know some of you guys are going to bounce out of here. I'm going to launch one last poll. I swear it's my last one. It's just to let us know, are you interested in a conversation with Bill? Because obviously he's a wealth of knowledge. You all, for the most part, are ConnectWise PSA users, and who knows, he can help you out. And I'm sure if you get him a nice glass of scotch, he'd be happy to just sit down and talk your ear off for who knows, at
Yeah.
least until the glass is empty.
Have a little bourbon and a cigar, and
Yeah, there you go.
Scotchworks, Briarwood. It's funny. I really, people don't believe it, but I really do not drink that much. I really don't. I mean, for me to have a glass of rye or bourbon or whatever, maybe twice a month, maybe. Usually,
Okay.
I have a cigar and club soda, or a cigar and a zero root beer. That's my thing. But these
Yeah.
bottles that I have back here, I've either won them in some sort of fundraising thing, or I've had clients and other people just send me a bottle as a gift. And so it's a great conversation piece. My son's probably going to enjoy it.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, man, so I know I feel like I almost cut you off. So do we see any other questions that you felt like you needed to answer, in the
Let's see.
chat?
I don't think so, Jeremy. I popped an answer in there for you. Hopefully that works. If not, reach out to me. I wish that link would work, but it doesn't. Here's my email address. Put that in the chat. And yeah, I don't know why that link doesn't work. I'll have to get with my marketing person and see, but it's all right. So yeah, just reach out. If you have any questions at all, and I'll put a, I'll send you a scheduling link, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Perfect. Well, so Bill's given everyone his email address. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this poll. If anyone else is interested in his services, I'll leave this poll going for another like 20 seconds, or even just a chat. His email is bill@focusplanet.com. bill@focusplanet.com. Bill, you sent it only to the host and panelists, so it's okay. I just sent it to everyone though.
Got it.
And then you also only sent that link to just me, which is perfect because it didn't work anyway.
Oh, could you grab the message I sent? I just noticed I sent Jeremy's.
Yeah. I'll pop that one in for everyone too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in PSA, go to setup tables, accounting package setup, and there's some check boxes in there for one of those awful companies.
I put in there in the statewide paid payments, but it's just same payments. No.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think they also, understandably, ConnectWise has done a really good job of like branding everything to all of their products.
Yeah.
Even though some of those modules in the PSA are all encompassing for all the products.
Yeah.
Or for third-party products as well, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. So sorry about using bad language in the
Yep. So, I'll let it slide this one time.
No.
All right. Well, I'll end that poll. It looks like we're almost 10 minutes over. Bill, is there anything else that you would like to let people know today before we wrap up?
Not that I can think of, Steve. If you really want, if you want to know more about, if you want to know more about what FocusPlanIT does and how we can help you with your business processes, PSA, anything, right? Let me know. If you want to see this workbook, it's really nice. I can bring a copy with me to your office when you sign on with me to do a whiteboard workshop, and I'm happy to go through it again. So,
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate everybody taking time out of your day for this.
I agree. I agree completely. If any of you guys are interested in reaching out to Bill, here is his information up on the screen. And I see focus at FocusPlanIT.com. That's
Yeah.
probably
You can build at Focus Planet or sales at FocusPlanet.com. I can create one that says alternative payments, Steve at FocusPlanet.com.
love it. Yeah, reach out to Alternative Payment Steve at FocusPlanet.com if you have any questions about alternative payment. Speaking of, if you have any questions about alternative payments, if you like what you heard today and you did not respond earlier to our call to demo, I am going to put in the chat and up on the screen a URL that you can use if you would like to sign up for a demo of alternative payments. We would love to give you one. I think it's a fantastic product. I believe in our platform. And you know, I've been an IT guy for over 20 years, and I was notorious, if you know my story, I was notorious for switching platforms over and over and over. And yeah, this is a product I would not be switching from. So
Absolutely. It's a very solid product and easy to implement. It's very easy.
yeah. Well, thank you so much everyone for popping out here, and I really appreciate everybody. If you have any questions about ConnectWise or alternative payments, you know how to reach us. Thank you so much, and we will catch you all at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.